Hey guys, welcome to Premium Picks. Today we are going to break down UFC 296. It's a huge card, last one of the year. They always stack it. The main card, top to bottom, unbelievable. You've got two title fights, Leon Edwards versus Colby Covington, Alexander Pantoja versus Brandon Royval, the uncrowned, undefeated dark horse, Shavkat Rakhmonov versus Wonderboy Thompson. You got your circus fight, Tony Ferguson versus Paddy Pimblett. And you got the rising contender and ever controversial Ian Garry, 13-0. So that's going to be a good one too. Wicked, wicked card. We're going to break it down. Please like, please subscribe, and let's break this card down. We're opening up with a banger as well. Just got added. We got Josh Emmett coming in 18-4 plus 125 underdog to Bryce Mitchell, 16-1 minus 150. On paper, this looks like a grappler versus like a sprawl and brawl boxer. Josh Emmett's going to want to keep this fight on the feet and use his hands to piece up Bryce Mitchell. Bryce Mitchell's going to want to take him down and submit him. Emmett looks like he's sliding. He's lost a couple in a row, but they were to the best. And Bryce Mitchell squeaked by Dan Ige last fight. So this is a tough one to predict. It's simple. If you think Bryce Mitchell's going to get takedowns, Bryce Mitchell's going to win the fight. If Bryce Mitchell does not get the takedowns, Josh Emmett can stuff them and box them up. Then you're on the Emmett side. And I think there is some value on Josh Emmett here personally. Tough fight to predict. What do you think?
I'm not completely sold on Bryce Mitchell taking down Josh Emmett at will. Emmett looked pretty tough against Topuria, and I don't know if Bryce Mitchell can put that sort of banger on him. That's not the type of fight that Bryce Mitchell kind of puts towards. Maybe his striking's looked a little bit better lately. So, but again, you haven't been able to see Bryce Mitchell in a little bit of time, and he is kind of soft. But Emmett's getting old too, right? And that's another thing. And he looks a bit slow. He's definitely got the power edge here. It's a tough fight to call it. I like the odds on Emmett, but I think Bryce will be able to get him. I've seen Emmett to get taken down and controlled before. It feels like it's a get right spot for Bryce. I'm gonna go with Bryce for now, and we'll see if I change from looking at some more video on Bryce. But Emmett's a wrestler too, right? Nobody really knows that. That's the thing, but he never uses it. He uses it in reverse, but his takedown defense is in the 40s. But, and Bryce's takedowns are in the 50s, the 40s or 50s. So, both of them aren't amazing at what they do. So, it's a tough choice. I'm leaning Bryce now, though.
I hope Mitchell wins. I love I love the weird guy in this fight, but Emmett's kind of tickling me here. I think he might be able to get it done.
Good. Bryce's chin didn't hold up against Topuria, so I don't know.
All right, moving on. We got another good fight here. We got Andre Fili, 22-10, minus 175 favorite against Lucas Almeida, 14-2, the plus 150 underdog. These two are going to look to strike it out. Neither are big names, so you might think that, what's this fight? I think this is actually going to be a very fun fight for however long it lasts. And the thing with Almeida is he got dummied last fight against Sabatini, but that's someone who grappled him. Almeida is a knockout puncher. Fili's a dog and likes to brawl too, but his chin has let him down in the past sometimes. So this is a fight Almeida might be able to score that knockout. Seriously, they're both live. They're both live because Fili's a dog too. But Fili's so inconsistent. Sometimes he looks like he's just tough as nails, and then sometimes he goes down first shot. So tricky one to predict. I will not be betting on this one, but I will enjoy it. I think it's going to be a great striking fight. What do you think?
I liked Almeida against who was the last guy before he lost to Sabatini? It was Trezano. He looked stout against Trezano. And I like that style. So maybe I got into the hype too much when I put him up against what's his name? Sabatini there. And he looked like a fish out of water on the ground. Now, his striking is A1. He has good power, he has good technical striking. I feel Fili doesn't have the power edge here for sure. He is a good striker too, but Fili's lost 3 of his last 4 fights as well, right? So, and he's been chin-checked quite a bit lately. My only thing is, he beat Charles Jourdain by using his wrestling. Is he going to use good fight IQ here? He does fight at alpha male, and they do have a good bunch of wrestlers. So if he does want to employ his grappling, I see that's where the edge. I feel like that's where the odds are coming in on his favor, is that they think he might use some of the grappling edge that he has here and his wrestling edge. So he did take down Jourdain 5 times, and that was a while ago though. And the problem is that he is so inconsistent, like you said. You don't know what the IQ is like. Is he going to bring that grappling heavy approach? Because if he does, I think he could win this fight. I mean, I lean there because I think I think he comes from a smarter camp, and then he can bring the grappling approach to this fight. And he has a massive grappling edge here if he wants to use it.
All right, moving on. We got a heavyweight tilt between Shamil Gaziev, 11-0 plus 150, coming in against Martin Buday, 13-1 minus 175. Shamil, 11-0, 10 finishes, 8 in the first round. So he's the much more exciting fighter, but he's fought absolutely nobody. Buday, he's kind of been underwhelming. He did get the finish last fight, so thank God we didn't have to watch the 3-round bore fest, because he's been pretty boring to be honest. Most of his fights in the UFC have been very underwhelming and boring. It's too hard to know how Shamil is going to look against UFC competition. I'm going to root for the guy. 11-0, 10 finishes, 8 the first round. He's the guy I'm rooting for. I don't like Buday, but it's a fight that I wouldn't be betting with any confidence here. What do you think?
Well, Buday, like, he scoots by on a unanimous decision against Barnett, low-level fight. Arguably loses against Lucas Bresky, who's a crappy fighter. Arguably loses against Jake Collier. That was a closer fight. And then against Parisian, he finally gets a finish, but Josh Parisian sucks. So I don't know. Shamil Gaziev, he's got the one fight in the contender series. Took the guy down, subbed him pretty quickly. I don't know if he's going to be able to do that. There's a lot of unknowns here. That's the problem. I am waiting for the greatest moment ever to fade Martin Buday. I am not feeling strongly. I feel like he has the experience factor here, but like there's nothing special about him that makes me want to be like, yo, minus 175 against a newcomer. I don't know. I don't actually know. I'd like to pick Shamil. I think he's the better overall wrestler, but he has got a mass. I think he has a grappling edge here, and if he can employ it, he can beat Buday. Buday hasn't been in close fights where I thought he's lost, and I put the money on him, and it sucks sometimes. You're just sitting there like, oh my God. So there's nothing special about his striking. There's nothing special about his ground game. He looks like he tires halfway through the fight. Yeah, I'm gonna go with the other guy. I'm gonna go with Gaziev. This might not be the right spot to fade Buday, but
it's tempting.
I've just been waiting. I'm just waiting in the wings to fade this guy so bad because I think he stinks.
Yeah, no, I agree, and he's boring as hell. Moving on, we got former champ Cody No Chin Gardbrandt, 13-5 minus 225, coming in against Brian Kelleher, 24-14 plus 187. This is a fight that Cody should win. He should be better everywhere, but I can't trust the guy. Like I said, he's got absolutely no chin at all. And Brian Kelleher, he's a guy who finishes or gets finished. He's lost like tons of submissions. He's been submitted a ton. He's been dropped a ton. So it's a fight that says it shouldn't go the distance. And Cody's the way better fighter. But again, I just can't trust Cody. So for me, it's going to be a pass. Like normally I would sprinkle the dog and bet against Cody, but Brian just sucks though. He's not good. So it's just a pass for me. What do you think?
Well, so there's a little bit of a thing like Brian does wrestle a little bit too, right? I just don't think he can get down Cody because when Brian does win his fights, it's because he employs the entire MMA aspect of the whole thing. He will take guys down and ride it out a little bit, punch on the feet. If there's one thing Brian Kelleher does have, is some power in his hands, right? That Cody fight the last time rubbed me the wrong way. Like he should have killed Trevin Jones, and he outstruck him 26-20 with a couple takedowns.
He was kind of panic wrestling, kind of.
It was 26-20, couple takedowns. He didn't look good. He got a unanimous decision. He definitely won the fight, but like Boom's old though, and that's the only problem. And his chin isn't the greatest. So this is like no chin versus no chin. So this is a tough spot to be in. I mean, I think is this. Whoever can sort of employ the all-around MMA game, the wrestling and the striking will win this fight. I think I'm leaning Cody's way because the takedown defense of 78% does that is pretty good. And Boom does take down at about, his accuracy is about 40%. His own takedown defense is about 60%. This is all UFC stats. So to me, this says that it's going to be a striking match. My only issue is that Kelleher has been losing to what did he lose to? Bautista, I believe. And so he got rear naked choked by Bautista and Umar Nurmagomedov. Tough, tough.
Good fighters.
Yeah, but they have like serious ground games, right? You know what I mean? So the guys that and before that, he was fighting who was it? Kevin Kroom. He took him down a whole bunch of times, so you can't really look into that. And Domingo Pilarte, where he owned him on the feet and on the ground, right? So I don't know who's going to throw more, because that Cody fight really rubbed me the wrong way. If he's going to throw 26 strikes in 3 rounds, I don't think that's going to get it cut. That's not going to cut it. That's not going to cut it. But for now, I lean against it. But minus 225, Jesus, man, that's harsh. Like, I don't know if I can lay that on Cody. This might be a pass altogether. I mean, I see some value on Kelleher though.
Alrighty. Moving on, we got a light heavyweight striking match. We got Alonzo Menifield, 14-3-1, coming in at plus 200 versus Dustin Jacoby, 19-7-1, minus 250 favorite. This should play out on the feet. Don't really see any grappling happening here. You got Menifield, who's got the power, and you got Jacoby, who's the much more technical striker and probably the tougher guy, probably the better gas tank. So I will take Dustin Jacoby. The thing with Jacoby that always scares me, though, is that judges don't love him, and you're usually getting a point fight. I know that he did finish his last fight over Kennedy, which is a big win, but generally speaking, he goes the cards, and then things get dicey because then you're expecting a close decision or something like that. But I got to pick the technical guy over the power here. It's not like Dustin's showing a bad chin, and I'm scared he's going to get knocked out. So I think his chin holds up, and he wins the points. What do you think?
Okay, so for as bad as Menifield's gas tank is, and it's pretty bad, he's been going a little bit on the distance side. He's going the 3rd round against Jimmy Crute that one time, and the 2nd round against, but not. The only thing is that he looks really bad in those 2nd and 3rd rounds, and it was 2 fights ago we were watching it, and he was just letting Crute, who was dead tired, just reverse him on the ground, and he didn't show any like gall to go for it. Now Jacoby, for all his flaws, he's shown a pretty good chin. So I don't know if Menifield can really knock him out, aside from that 1st round where he's very, very live. But if this fight gets past the 1st round, I see like Menifield. The judges don't like Jacoby because he throws pitter patter punches and he is a point fighter. But the thing about Menifield is, like, when he gets sort of tired after that 1st round, he really doesn't throw anything back. And he throws these one big hitters. And if Jacoby could just stay out of the way of those, I think he could cruise to a decision. If anyone employs the ground game, it's going to be Jacoby, but Menifield has been known to have pretty decent takedown defense. So I think Jacoby cruises, stays out of the pocket. I think this one is actually an over. I don't know if he can finish Menifield. He's been a pretty tough guy over his like tenure in the UFC. He doesn't get finished super easily. And that's where I take on. I think Jacoby cruises unanimous decision.
All right, moving on. We got a fun fight at 170 pounds. We got Randy Brown, 17-5, minus 200 favorite, coming in against Muslim Salikhov, 19-4, plus 170. Salikhov, great 1st round fighter, loves throwing these spinning kicks, and always looks good in the 1st round. Pretty much always wins the 1st round, and he will be dangerous here because Brown can be knocked out for sure. But then Salikhov gasses big time. He falls off hardcore, and then he's susceptible to getting finished. And that's kind of how I think this fight will play out. I don't think he's going to knock out Randy Brown. I mean, it's possible, but I don't think he does. And then I think eventually he'll gas out. He'll get hit with something, and then maybe Randy Brown slaps on a choke or something, or just finishes them. But I think Brown finishes it later, takes over after that dicey 1st round. What do you think?
It is going to be a dicey 1st round. It really, really will be. But the only I want to go Randy Brown all day here. My only issue is I think he is a comparable striker to Salikhov, maybe even a little bit more technical. He's a little bit longer. Salikhov probably has the power edge in this whole entire fight, but Randy's shown a pretty decent chin, aside from the Jack Della fight, where I think he got caught for being a little bit too cocky. He actually was in that fight until he wasn't. My only issue with Randy is like the same issue you have with him sometimes is that he throws low volume, right? Now the only issue is that Salikhov throws low volume too. So now you're at low volume versus low volume, right? And so the gassing is where that's where I slightly lean into Brown on this in this case. Minus 200 isn't too bad. I think he's the overall better fighter, and like you said, he could slap on a choke if he hurts him, if he bends his neck in the wrong way. He does have those long limbs, and he's shown that he can put on those chokes. I believe he was the one-handed rear naked choke guy. I can't remember who he did it to, but yeah, Randy's longer. I feel like it'll work in this case. But the low volume is why I can't go all in on him, or I can't put a big bet out on him. Because they're both low volume. This is going to probably be a striking match of Randy throws 65 and Muslim throws 55. Because something along those lines is what I can definitely see. The only thing is the optics are going to look a little bit better later on in the fight when Muslim sort of like slows down. So that's my take on it.
All right. Yeah, no, sounds right. Moving on with the ladies' 125-pound division, we got Casey O'Neill, 9-1, minus 163, taking on Ariane Lipski, 16-8, plus 137. O'Neill is coming off her first loss to Jennifer Maia. Maia's a tough girl, good fighter, and it was a fight where she could not get the fight to the ground, and she was just a little bit behind Maia's jab. And then you got Lipski, who a couple of fights ago was pretty much written off. Everyone thought she was probably on her way out, and she has scored 2 upset wins. Granted, it was JJ Aldrich and some other girl that wasn't that great.
Oh, Melissa Gatto
or something like that.
Yeah, she's good. She's good though, man.
Yeah. Okay, so Lipski pulled it off again. So 2 big underdog wins for Lipski. So I guess she's back in the conversation of has she turned the page? Has she turned into a good striker who can finally stay off of her back? Maybe. I think Casey O'Neill is going to be like the bigger, stronger girl here. And I do think she's going to rebound. I think it's an over. It's probably going to play out fairly drawn out. Not a ton of confidence. I don't think Lipski's going to beat her up the way Maia did, and I don't think she has the takedown defense that Maia does. So I think O'Neill will grind this one out in relatively boring fashion. What do you think?
Well, it's funny because Lipski's overall takedown defense is about 80%, so it's not too bad. And Casey O'Neill hasn't been able to take her last 2 opponents down, but she has put a hell of a lot of volume down in those fights against, like you said, against Maia. She threw 137 to Maia's 145. And against Roxanne, she threw 225 to 229 to 120. Now the problem, and it's weird, and we talked about this with Jacoby, she threw down 229 to 100 whatever in that Roxanne fight, and somehow that was a split decision, right? For me, it is like I don't think the judges like her style too much. Now Lipski, for all the flaws she does have, she is a pretty competent striker in there. And I feel like the power edge is also on Lipski's side as well. So, I mean, if this is going to stand as a striking match, it's a lot closer than the cards. I mean, a lot closer than the odds say, because Lipski herself throws a decent amount of volume, and she is competent as a striker. And then the last 2 fights, she has employed her ground game as well. So, funny fight. Right? I mean, Lipski I believe she has a BJJ black belt. I believe she can get down onto the ground and do things. I don't like what I see from Casey O'Neill. Women's MMA always gets me, and there's got to be something about these odds, because Lipski was a plus 250 and a plus 300 in her last couple fights, and all of a sudden they got her at a plus 137. So there's got the odds makers are also seeing a little bit in Lipski. O'Neill might be a little bit more volume, but I don't know. Something tells me I'm going on the Lipski side. I think she's got a little bit more strength, and something tells me that the judges don't like what Casey O'Neill does out there, because 229 strikes to 100 whatever Moniferri threw. There's no way in hell that should have been a split decision. No way in hell. What are the judges seeing that I don't? Obviously, it's something. I'm reading into it maybe too much, but
I think it's safe to say it's probably going to go the distance, or it's going to be a drawn out fight for sure.
I don't know what that. I mean, Casey's a tough girl, right? I
Oh
mean,
yeah.
she looks like she's pretty decently tough, so she'll take a punch to her face too. So
Yep.
it will probably go the distance. Hey, all the finishing equity though is on the Lipski side. If you want to go that way, though, I don't see any finishing equity on the O'Neal side.
O'Neal took a beating though the last fight. She's tough. One thing she's tough.
Yeah, yeah.
All right, moving on. We got back-to-back women's fights. 135-pound division. Irene Aldana, former title challenger, 14-7, minus 200 favorite, versus Carol Rosa, 17-5, coming back at plus 170. I don't like these odds. I think Rosa has a chance here. I think Rosa's the dog in the fight. Like she's the one who's gonna. She'll throw more volume and she'll come forward. Aldana sometimes hesitant. Don't like her volume. Don't like her output. The only thing that scares me here is I think Aldana is a much more physically stronger girl. She's big, she's in shape, she's strong, whereas Rosa kind of looks short and soft. Again, Rosa's the dog in the fight. Feels like another fight that's going to go long. Feels like another fight that could be close. I'm not betting on either of them personally. Maybe some kind of overs when the props come out. I'll look at those. But I think we got another decision on our hands. What do you think?
I think so too. Aside from all the last few fights from Rosa are a little bit contradictory of how she started her UFC career. She used to start a UFC career with heavy volume, like over 120 strikes landed. And the last few fights, it's kind of weird. Against Yana Santos, she won a split decision. I thought she lost. And she landed one takedown, 66 strikes. Against Norma Dumont, she landed 33 strikes in 3 rounds. Against Lena Landsberg, she was 3 takedowns and 54 strikes. Against Sarah McMahon, she got blanketed, so she only landed 26. And then that was all the other fights were from before, and she landed over 120 in each one of those. So that's weird. But Irene Aldana is the same time. I don't want to go through her record, but her record is low volume too. And she is susceptible to the wrestlers taking her down, right? She got struck by Nunez by a hell of a lot in her last fight. She got taken down by Holly Holm in a previous fight by five times. So this one here is close. If Rosa can use the ground game, I think she's definitely live to finish this fight, or definitely live to at least ride it out for 3 rounds. But she's not throwing on the feet like she used to. So that's the problem. Now, Aldana's a counter striker. So it could either be a staring match for fucking 3 rounds, because that's definitely in the cards, or Rosa goes back to her old tricks, throws the volume, and Aldana just picks her apart. So this one here is even tough. I find this one tougher than that Lipski fight that we previously broke down, because you don't know what version of Aldana you're going to get, and you don't know what version of Rosa you're going to get. Because if Rosa employs the ground game, I think she's live. If she employs the volume game, I think she's live. But you don't know what she's going to do, right? She's losing to Norma Dumont and getting outstruck 36-33 in a 3-round fight. That's fucking gross, man. It's nasty. 66 strikes in 3 rounds. That's not good. I mean, Aldana's no better. It's around the same mark, but like those aren't good numbers. Like you said, this is probably another 3-round decision. It's hard for me to pick a side. Right now, I'm actually leaning to the Rosa side. She's got more tools to win the fight, but Aldana's a dog, and she's not going to get finished. She's Mexican, so it's tough. I don't know, man. I mean, if she doesn't employ those 2 things that I said, then Aldana's just going to pick her apart from the outside. So I'm leaning. Right. She's got ways to win this.
All right, moving on to the last prelim of the night. We got Tagir Ulanbekov, 14-2, minus 160 favorite, coming in against Cody Durden, 16-4-1, plus 130 underdog. Durden's never looked better. He looked pretty good his last couple fights. He's pulled off fights that I wasn't so sure he was going to win. I mean, on paper, it kind of looks like a grappler versus grappler. Tough fight, man. I don't know why I'm kind of leaning Durden. I don't know. Am I crazy? I don't know. What are you thinking here?
I'm thinking that Durden is just as good. Okay, so Tagir, now, if you go back and you look at the Tim Elliott fight, right? Do you put Durden in the same sort of like sort of wrestler as Tim Elliott. Tim Elliott is a chain wrestler that goes after it. He's very busy once he gets him on the ground. All that stuff. Durden's maybe possibly a younger version of that Tim Elliott with a probably shittier gas tank, because that third round gets kind of dicey sometimes with Durden. First 2 rounds he's strong as fuck though, right? He's always on the prowl for that takedown. So Tagir's also shown that he's not like all the other offs where he is susceptible to being taken down, but he can also slap on that guillotine choke like he did the last time, right? So this one here is a tough fight to call. I like Durden's tenacity. If he follows that Tim Elliott game plan, I like Durden in this fight, because Ulanbekov has shown that he's not as dog as some of those other Russians that have come in to the league. But he does have better striking here. So if they do want to stand and bang, I think Tagir is probably the better striker in this fight by a wide margin. Cody throws power shots so he can get inside and just get you down, right? So I can see the path of victory to Durden. I'm a little tied on this one for now. I'm sort of leaning towards the wrestling of Durden, but like, let me just take a look at the hands. Later on in the week when we post that second video, I'm going to take a look at the hands, because Tagir does have better hands, and like, how much better is it than Durden has? So right now, leading towards the bet. I feel like there's a better wrestler is Durden.
Yeah, I think you can win just by being on top. That's the game plan.
That's it.
All right, guys, moving on to the main card. If you haven't already, please like and please subscribe. Fantastic main card. And first fight of the night, we got Vicente Luque, 22-9-1, the plus 275 underdog, versus Ian Garry, 13-0, minus 350 favorite. Now, if you're one of these guys who believes and absolutely loves Ian Garry, this is, I guess, the best odds you've gotten on him on a long time, because he's usually coming in at a minus 600 favorite. And then if you're someone who says, well, he hasn't really fought anybody, and one thing Luque does is he hits hard as hell, and you know what? He's actually a pretty good grappler too. You don't see him use it too often, but he can grapple. He is Brazilian. He can slap on chokes. He's generally been very durable, and he generally hits hard as hell. He's a violent fighter. The problem with Luque is he's kind of like flat-footed and slow. Even though he is a power puncher and he absolutely can shut your lights out, he's not the fastest guy in the world. You got a thumbs down on my screen there. I don't know what you just did.
I didn't do that, did I?
No, I just saw something about that was funny. Yeah, so we got Luque, hard ass hitter, loves to finish fights, but he's a little bit slow. Jeff Neal took advantage of that, and the question is can Ian Garry do that? Gary's been caught once by Kenan Song and got dropped. If Song can drop him, Luque can. So, hey, I can see value on either side. Give me Luque to get it done. Fuck it. Ian Garry's been in the headlines too much. I'm sure all that shit that's been talked about him is getting to his head. This kid's going to sleep eventually. I'm gonna stab the dog here, I think. I know it sounds crazy. I'm gonna stab Luque to find the chin eventually. I know Neal was able to avoid Luque with tremendous speed, and Neal got it done, but I don't think Gary's as fast as Neal. Sure, he's the better striker, but I don't think he's as fast. I think Gary's more hittable than Jeff Neal. So fuck it. You know what? I just talked myself into Luque. I didn't think that going into this, but I talked myself into Luque. I'm going to stab it as a single, not a parlay piece, not a confident pick. But I'm probably going to take by knockout for extra value or by finish. What do you got?
I have been waiting to fade Ian Garry for a very, very, very long time. And I feel like this might not be the perfect spot to do it, but I feel like it's a decent enough fighter to fade Ian Garry. So Gary's does have good striking. He does have good movement. But what we said before, he's very hittable. And what Luque did in the Dos Anjos fight, I don't know. Is he reinventing himself? Because he looked like a very competent grappler against a very competent grappler in that last fight. In Dos Anjos, we had him big, and we thought he would just out-grapple Luque, but he couldn't. He could not out-grapple Luque. And there is no way Ian Garry's going to out-grapple Luque. Or nobody tried, because his IQ isn't like that. You know what? I'll give Luque... So this comes down to it. I've said Luque fights a little boneheaded sometimes. But like that last fight, he was very smart with the way he fought. Is that IQ something that's coming with his age, with his expertise, with his experience? It could be. Um, is he faster than Ian Garry? Probably not. Does he pack a punch better than Ian Garry? Probably. It's that Song Kanon fight that was really telling, right? Because Kanon not only knocked him down, he was also able to take down Ian Garry twice in that fight, right? So it's not like Ian Garry is Superman when it comes to not being taken down to the ground. So that was just Song Kanon, right? So if Song Kanon can put on, I would think three-quarters of almost a. I think Kanon won the first round and Ian Garry won the last two rounds, to be honest with you, that in that fight. So if Kanon can put that one round in, you think Luque can do it? But he's fought in the Stephen Thompsons of the world, the Bilal Muhammad's. He got taken down by Bilal Muhammad. It employed a very good game plan against him, right? So Jeff Neal, known for some of the best takedown defense in all of UFC in this division, right? I mean, even that fight Jeff Neal lost against Neil Magny, he wasn't really taken down. It was just Neil Magny doing his Neil Magny things, humping him up on the side. Luque is not going to hump you up on the side of the cage like that, but he will try to take you down in the middle. And Garry, man, Garry, the head. Is it getting to that? Is it getting to the Connor headspace before even the Connor accolades come? Because that's what it seems like. Like the Connor headspace, I get it. He had the double champion accolades to go with the cocky attitude. But I feel like Garry's the same way. Like he's got the cocky attitude, but he hasn't fucking done anything yet. So that's my thing. You haven't done anything. You're talking like you're the champion of the world, but you haven't done anything yet. I don't know. I'm gonna go Luque because I agree with you on this. We can both have a drink next week together. And cheers to fucking Vicente Luque because plus 275. These are different fighters than Garry's he's up against, right? He was up against Neil Magny, Daniel Rodriguez. Those guys are okay. Song Kanon, Gabe Green, Darian Weeks, and Jordan Williams. This is Vicente Luque, though, right? So this is like a complete step up because this guy was near to a title defense at one point, right? This is a guy that fought Rafael Dos Anjos, Jeff Neal, Bilal Muhammad, Michael Chiesa, Tyrone Woodley, Randy Brown, Nico Price, Stephen Thompson, Mike Perry. Like, Jesus, Mike Perry's a dog. I don't know if Ian Machado Garry beats Mike Perry at this point, right? Maybe if he employs a ground game because Mike Perry's so dumb, but still, toughness wise, I don't know. I mean, I feel this is another spot. I want to fade Martin Buday. I want to fade this guy too. Am I picking the wrong spot? Maybe I am, but whatever.
Hey, it'll be fun to cheer for it anyways. When the drinks are flying, we'll be screaming at that TV. All right, guys, moving on to the circus fight of the night. We got legend Tony Ferguson, 25-9, plus 225 underdog. We got another joker here. We got Paddy Pimblett, 20-3, minus 275. Oh, man, what a strange fight. I guess I got to give Tony the edge on the feet, but Tony Ferguson has terrible takedown defense, and that's what Paddy Pimblett looks to do. Paddy Pimblett is going to want to take him down and choke him out or just hold him down, take his back, whatever, out-grapple him. Tony Ferguson, people can say he's a good grappler himself. Sure, maybe his jiu-jitsu's okay, but the guy never gets top position, and he's not good at takedown defense. He's not. So I think this falls into Paddy Pimblett's hands. I think he'll be able to get those takedowns at will. And I think Paddy Pimblett, unfortunately, is going to get this done. I know the whole world wants to fade him. I do too. I can't trust Tony Ferguson to get this done. I really can't. Sad to say, because I know he's on a hell of a losing streak. And I mean, if you lose to Paddy Pimblett, like, where does he go? I think this is it, Tony. Sorry to say it. I know last time I made comments about Tony and bet against him. I think it was the Bobby Green fight. And I got a lot of backlash on the comments. Tony's a legend. How dare you talk about him and disrespect him like that? Okay, I agree. He's a legend, but he's not good, and he should have packed it in. At this point, he's tarnishing his legacy. Doesn't need this fight. Doesn't need to fight, period. I'm taking Paddy Pimblett, unfortunately. What do you think?
6 fights in a row as a loss. No, hasn't been competitive in all the rounds except for the first round against Michael Chandler. Been subbed by Bobby Green. I'm laughing while I say it because Bobby Green subs absolutely nobody. Subbed by Nate Diaz ain't so bad because Nate Diaz does sub people. So I'm again waiting for my time to fade Paddy Pimblett. This is the card of trying to fade everybody. Like you, I can't do it. I just can't do it. I can't do it. I can't do it here. I got no trust in Tony Ferguson, zero trust in Tony Ferguson. I can't believe he's still fighting after losing all these fights. I mean, he has fought the best of the best, don't get me wrong. Paddy's not the worst of the worst. The only people that I think he can beat are like between 25 and 30 in the division, maybe. Just around him. Like he's fighting too high. The UFC should do him a favor or two. And Paddy Pimblett, like, if anything is good, that he has a decent submission game. He has shown that in a few times, you know what I mean? So yeah, there's no much breaking down here. If Tony somehow can keep this on the feet, I mean, he's got the more technical, he's longer, he's got better striking than Paddy. He's probably got more power, but he can't bust a grape either. I haven't seen him really knock anybody out lately. So this is tough. And yeah, I'm not going to say Tony sucks or anything like that. He is a legend. He has been fighting good people, but like, man, you got to know when it's time to retire, man. Like, I feel like he's just detrimenting. He's getting more brain damage now, right? Just getting knocked out, submitted all the time. I mean, back in the day, even if Tony was to lose or the fight's close, his durability is what set him apart from everyone. But I think that durability is completely gone. That's the problem, right? His durability is what set him apart. Anthony Pettis fight back in the day, he got dropped. Lando Venata dropped, but durability fought him through those fights. It wasn't Tony Ferguson's like better than Anthony Pettis. He probably is, but or Tony Ferguson's better than Lando Venata at the time. Because guys that are better than guys when they fight on certain nights, it's completely up in the air. But he had that durability, and it's gone, man. I don't see the same fire. And like you asked Tony, oh, what's your plans? I'm going to be champion. Now he's still delusional too, right? So I don't know. I'm with you on Paddy Pimblett. Paddy Pimblett by submission. We'll check that line when it comes out though, because like I do feel like the submission is super live. Like Paddy going to stand there with him? Do you think so? That'd be the stupid move. Paddy dumb though. Paddy dumb. So I don't know. Like he can. I think he's got to take him down. I think he's going to sub him. I think so.
Yeah, I think Tony's going to have a legendary losing streak here, unfortunately. Now, also, I mean, who does the UFC want to win? They want Paddy Pimblett to win. His stock dropped big time last fight because obviously the whole world thought he lost. Jared Gordon's proven to be a pretty good fighter, so whatever. He got the nod against Gordon, but regardless, Paddy Pimblett stock dropped big time. How do you rebuild this guy and get the fans crazy about him again? You give him a name. Oh, you give him a name. So everybody will forget about that fight once he beats Tony Ferguson. So now he's back. He's popular again. The name is bringing in the fans. This feels like a setup fight for Paddy Pimblett to win. That's what I think. I think it's the perfect matchup. Fighting a guy, grappler fighting a guy with no takedown defense.
I agree.
Give me Paddy Pimblett.
No, I completely agree.
All right. Thanks, buddy. All right, moving on. We got the featured fight of the night. I love this fight. We've got my favorite fighter in the 170-pound division. I think he's the uncrowned champ. I think he's the best. I think he beats Leon Edwards today, no problem. But we've got Shavkat Rakhmonov, 17-0, 17 finishes, coming in at minus 550 favorite against Stephen Wonderboy Thomas, who I also love. I love Wonderboy. 17-6-1 plus 400. Wonderboy has some of the greatest performances I've ever seen. His destruction of Johnny Hendricks back in the day, oh, what a ass kicking. Knocking out Robert Whitaker. I mean, this guy, he's sick on the feet. He's sick. He's an absolute ninja, wicked karate. But the book's out on him. He's going to prance around the thing. And you know what? He's old now. I believe he's 40 years old. If not, he's very close. And I can't believe he's accepting this fight. Rakhmonov is the most dangerous fight in the division. I think he can win this fight any way he wants to. Is he a little bit hittable? Sure, but it doesn't matter. The guy is a Terminator. The guy walks through everything, and when he hits you, you go down. And if he wants to choke you out, he can choke. I think he can do whatever he wants. I think he's the real deal. He will be the champ. I know everyone thinks Ian Garry's the future champ. Rakhmonov is the future champ of this division. So give me 17-0 going to 18-0. And I think he finishes Wonderboy as well. And like I said, I like Wonderboy. I think he can do it any way he wants, knockout or submission. Give me Rakhmonov. What do you think?
Isn't Wonderboy an easier fight than Shavkat's last fight against Jeff Neal? Personally,
Yep.
I think so. I think so too. Well, we're on the same page. We've talked about this before. Yeah, I feel like he's the young. I've said it to you. I feel like he's the young crown champion of this division. He's got all the tools, and the only thing that he hadn't happened until last fight was the chin hadn't been battle tested, and Jeff Neal tested the goddamn chin last time. He tested the chin, and those punches didn't even look like they phased him. Did he look hittable? Yes. Was he trying to look hittable? It's a possibility. He didn't even look like he was blocking him, to be quite honest with you. Like,
and Jeff Neal's got fast hands, man. He does.
oh yeah, but like, did it look like he'd even care about the power? So put it this way: if he doesn't care about the power of Jeff Neal, he doesn't give a shit about the power coming back from Stephen Thompson. Let's just be honest with you. The ground games, different levels, different levels. And we said this. I said this earlier in this video. Jeff Neal has some of the best takedown defense in all of the division. In all the divisions, Stephen Thompson, not so much. I believe that Bilal exposed him, and a few other guys have exposed him as well. I can never forgive Stephen Thompson for losing me a huge ticket when he fucking dusted Anthony Pettis in the first round and then got Superman punched off the cage. I'll never forgive you, Stephen. I will never forgive you for that. You should have killed that guy. I don't think he has a chance here, and maybe we are writing him off. But what's his best chance? To stay at range for 3 rounds and pick apart Shavkat. I can't even vision it. I cannot even vision it.
Shavkat walks forward the whole time, man. He just
keeps marching
forward.
Walking, like you said, if he's walking forward and Jeff Neal, who throws haymakers, what's he gonna do to Stephen Thompson, who can bust a grape, right? So
yeah, luck, like I said, I really like Wonderboy, and all the respect to taking that fight, because that's a fight he probably does not have to take. And honestly, what a time for the 170-pound division. Because I mean, look behind me, I love George St. Pierre, but let's call facts facts. He was kind of a boring decision fighter, and I love the guy. And then you had Kamaru Usman, kind of a boring decision fighter, and you got Leon Edwards. No disrespect to him, but he's also kind of a decision fighter. So finally, we're going to have a fucking champion who finishes everybody. 17-0, 17 finishes. You don't see that in this division. I love it. Future's great for the 170-pound division.
George never always used to be like that, though.
After he got KO'd. After he got KO'd, he came back as like a, I know.
No, man, against the Matt Hughes, he was a finisher. Those elbows, the finishes on
it was after Sarah dropped him. After that, didn't take any chances.
He fought so safe. Fought so safe against Dan Hardy, fought so safe against everybody after that. Oh, it was actually pretty gross.
Yeah. All right, moving on to the co-main event, the first title fight of the night. The 125-pound title is on the line. We got Alexander Pantoja, 26-5, the -175 favorite, taking on Brandon Royval, +150. Royval came through with a huge upset win to get this title shot. Hey, all the props in the world to him. He pulled it off. I've counted Royval out so many times, and he just keeps pulling shit out of nowhere. So it would be crazy to count him out. But what's his bread and butter? His bread and butter is he's trying to submit you. And can he submit Pantoja? Maybe, but history says no. Pantoja has never been submitted. He's Brazilian, so he's got a Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu black belt. He's sloppy. There's been times where he looks like, oh, fuck, he's going to go down. He gets rocked, but he just seems to always get out of it. So I just think he's the grittier, more durable fighter. If Royval fucking pulls it off, hey, respect. Awesome comeback story for that guy. But I think Pantoja's leg kicks, striking, durability, ability to not get submitted, I think will carry Pantoja here. Hard not to like him at -175, at least for me. What do you think?
Well, these guys have fought before. And Pantoja did slap on the rear naked choke. I think I think Royval hurt his elbow or something in that fight, though.
What was that, like 7 years ago or something like that? No,
what was this shit? Give me a second here. August 21st, 2021.
Oh shit.
Yeah, they fought then. So if I remember correctly, Pantoja was able to get Royval down pretty easily in that game. I mean, in that fight, sorry. And I like Raw Dog, but I think he's just too erratic for a guy like Pantoja, right? So Pantoja, I think this is the time for his reign. You know what I mean? him beating Moreno was a big thing. Do you think Royval beats Moreno? I don't know about that either, right? I'm not using MMA math here though, but
no, I don't think so at all.
well, I think the wrestling's Pantoja. The ground games are similar, but Royval is a better grappler when he's in dominant position rather than being in not dominant position, right? So if Royval's on the ground, is he going to throw up a triangle choke? Is he going to catch him in an armbar? Is he going to catch him in any of that stuff? Nope. And on the feet, I mean, he's a little erratic with the striking, but Pantoja's pretty technical. Nothing special on the feet, though. But he did show that he can strike with Moreno, who everyone would have said is a better striker than Pantoja. And so he did do that. But you saw the mixed martial arts in that fight. Pantoja had a nice bag of tricks against Moreno. And I feel like that same bag of tricks will work against Royval. And I rewatched their fight. Pantoja handily won that first round before the finish. I know there's funny business happening with the finish. Royval kind of hurt himself. But yeah, there's nothing that takes me away. I was a Pantoja guy. I was a Pantoja guy before that last fight. I said I'm going to bet Pantoja, and I did. And I'm going to do it again. And I think I might couple him with somebody coming up next. So let's go to that.
All right, there you have it. Moving on to the main event. Not sure how the hell Colby got another title shot, but here we are. Leon Edwards, 21-3, the -1.
I know why, because it's not Kamaru Usman.
Yeah, right, for real. All right, Leon Edwards, the champ, coming in 21-3, -138 favorite. And that's probably the best odds you're going to get on Leon Edwards for a long time, probably. And then you got the challenger, Colby Covington, 17-3, +110 underdog. So that suggests that this fight is a coin flip, very close fight, they odds makers say. Colby Covington, relentless pressure, decent wrestler. I don't think his takedowns are like phenomenal, but he's a pretty good pressure wrestler, chain wrestler. Good cardio, tough guy. I mean, Usman, sure, he scored the finish in the first fight, but he wasn't out, and so this is a tough fight. Everything in my head says Leon Edwards should beat this guy up, should not get taken down, and should win the striking. But Colby does have great cardio, great pressure. We haven't seen Covington in so long, so I don't know. It's just very hard for me to pick Colby, and I'm not a big Leon Edwards fan. I'm not. I think I see value on Edwards at 138. I feel like you got an active guy, and you got the better striker. Hasn't shown any terrible takedown defense. What side do you go? You said you have a big take, so what's your take?
My take is I probably will put the largest single on Colby Covington. I do think he is going to win this fight. Okay, look back at those last two fights with Kamaru. I know Leon won them, but he was outstruck 83-55 in the first one, and he outstruck Kamaru at 120 to 87 in the second one. But he was taken down 4 times in the second one and taken down 5 times in the first one. So that doesn't bode well for him. Can he employ his ground game? Maybe, but I don't think so. And then he is sort of low volume. Against Nate Diaz, he only threw 77. Against Bilal. Against Rafael Dos Anjos, 92. Against Gunnar Nelson, 31. Against Donald Cerrone, 84. So like that's a lot farther worse than Colby's ever done. Colby against Jorge, 94. Colby against Kamaru, 107. Colby against Tyrone Woodley when he finished him, 78. 143, 179, 99, 88. I mean, the numbers are just large and in charge. I know there's no power on Colby. He's not like a knockout artist, but he is definitely more busy than Leon Edwards. And I think he can employ the ground game. He's the better mixed martial artist in my eyes. He might not have the power edge here, but I don't think Leon hits anything harder than Kamaru did. And Kamaru wasn't able to put Colby out. Colby's got a decent ass chin. And if Leon beat Kamaru with that 127 to 80, whatever, and he didn't get taken down 4 times in that fight, I would say he had a better chance here, to be honest with you. And I am pretty sure Kamaru Usman's on the decline, to be honest with you. Those 2 fights with Colby probably took a lot of shit out of him. And let's be honest, one of those fights I thought he lost against Colby. I can't remember if it was the first one or it was the second one. I think it was the second one. I thought he lost it. He was so damn razor close, right? Um, and I do think Colby Covington has the best wrestling in the 170 division, to be honest with you. And I think he also has the better gas tank here. So fuck me if I'm wrong. I'm probably gonna parlay Pantoja with Covington. And if I lose, I'm gonna put it back on Covington right after. So I think those are my two big best leans of the card, or the two title fights. I like Colby Covington this spot. I wanted to bet him 3 months ago, but I held out because it was only plus 100. It's plus 110. I feel like if the line gets any bigger, let's go.
Well,
Merry Christmas, you filthy animal.
you're you're definitely gonna give me something to think about here, because I thought for sure that those Edwards odds look great. I mean, I just Colby hasn't been active at all, but you're the points you make are all right. I mean, relentless cardio, great chin, and let's face it, Edwards looked like he was broken by Usman the first fight. Before he scored that knockout, he had broke. Like, so Colby should be able to wear him out too. Like, so now I'm spinning. Now I'm not sure.
Well,
because I do like the odds on Edwards, and I gotta think he's a more technical striker.
Rewatch Colby versus Kamaru and Colby versus Kamaru 2. They were razor close fights, and I know Colby got finished in the first one, was around 5. He did break his jaw though. That's a big deal, right? Like, you break your jaw, it kind of fucking hurts.
He was still there. He was still
and
there.
He's still fighting. He never said shit, and he didn't complain. He went into round 5, and then he finally went down. And they called it out of necessity at that point, I think. But that second fight, man, was it close? I was scared. I had a big bet on Kamaru. I was absolutely terrified. Colby looked good. The striking looked good. The volume is what takes. This is the first time against Kamaru, that last fight with Leon Edwards. It's the first time Leon Edwards has ever eclipsed the 100 significant strike mark in the UFC. Like, that's ridiculous, to be honest with you. Like, I don't know, man. And he got taken down 9 times by Kamaru in the last. And we know Kamaru's a good wrestler. He took down Chimaev, right? Like, Kamaru's not a bad fighter. He's just, I think, at the end of the road, right? You know, insert Boys to Men right here. But, like, you're never going to get what you said about Leon. You're never going to get Colby at plus 110 ever again. Even if he loses this fight. Even if he loses this fight, whoever he fights next, you're not getting him a plus 110. I guess, unless
if he loses, he's retired if he loses.
No, I don't think he loses. Still young though, too, right? I mean, I don't feel like he's like super old. I'll double check his age here.
He's not active. I wish he was active. It's hard to trust guys that don't fight much.
1988, so he's at 35. This is his last. This is pretty much like the last. His last.
This is his last title shot ever, so he needs to win this.
Tomorrow's at what, 38 or something like that, 37, 38. So he's got 2 or 3 years to push this through. Shit, man. I just never been really impressed with Leon Edwards.
I'm not. Hey, I'm not either. I'm not either.
I just, the low volume, the wrestling, the chin. I'm not saying Leon has a bad chin. I'm saying that he's not gonna. I don't. Colby gonna put himself into that position that Kamaru put himself into, holding guys. Once Colby hold guys up on the side of the cage, though, like, that's not his style, right? That's a Kamaru Usman style thing, right? Colby, when he's up on the cage, he's more of a striker than he is like a grinder up on the corners. I mean, when he grinds you, you're in the middle of the octagon. Like, remember how he grinded Tyron Woodley, breaking his rib?
He took Woodley down a lot against the fence too.
Yeah, but he'll pull him away though. Like, he doesn't, like, how like Kamaru like holds him up against the fence and like tries to foot stomp him and do all that I call it dumb shit, but like that, because that's how Kamaru was.
That's the wall install.
That wall install, hump and pump, whatever you want to call it. Like, I have a strong take on Colby. I mean, we'll see how the fights go.
Hey, you're giving me something to all week. I'll be watching tape and I'll come back when those props drop. We're definitely going to have a bet show this week for sure. We'll have bets for every single fight, and I'll be watching a lot of tape because, hey, it's the year-end card. It's a great card. So you know what? I'm going to go big on this one. I'll post some big bets that I'm going to place. I don't know why I'm laughing in my head. I'm gonna catch a ton of flack for this, but I'm gonna say it anyways. How fucking funny would it be if Covington wins that belt and you just see like him, Dana, and Trump walk down the aisle with the belt or something like that?
Oh, good God.
It'll
I
be
mean, they're all friends, right? But listen, I do think there's value on Covington plus over 2.5, Covington over 3.5, Covington plus Covington decision.
Oh yeah, he's not finishing this fight, or
I
not
feel
early.
like,
Not
I
early.
feel like that too,
Not
right?
early.
No, but he's gonna, like we said, like the whole breakdown I said, he's gonna win on volume, he's gonna win on wrestling, he's gonna win on tenacity, he's gonna win on cardio. That's how he's gonna. I don't. He's never come across as a big finisher unless Leon is completely unversed on the ground and he gets
Unless he's gapped. If he just wears him out to the point of just mentally broken.
right. So that's the only way I see this fight. Like I just don't see it. Leon has too much of an attitude to go out like that. And if anything comes from that first Kamaru fight, he doesn't give up. Right? I mean, he didn't give up until the 5th round. I mean, so it's funny. I like to say he's championed by luck, right? Because he was getting his ass bumped, and then all of a sudden came out with the kick of destiny. He did come back and show me that he could beat Kamaru the next time. So I'll give him his props, but
that was a close fight too. I know that he ended up getting unanimous, but I thought it was a close fight. The rematch.
Yeah, unanimous. I think it was 3-2 though, 3 rounds to 2 though. So like that still means that one round could have been in limbo at some point, right? You know what I mean? Was it 4-1 or 3-2?
But didn't he get a point taken? Somebody lost a point in that fight. I think it was fence grabbing or something. I'm pretty sure he lost a round, lost a point and still won, and that's why I was like, "What the fuck?" Like it was close. It was close.
Fence grabbing. They don't call shit in the UFC for fence grabbing, bro.
Like, unless they don't like you.
Time. It fucks up my guys because we're big on grapplers over strikers, and then this guy grabs, and then they're like, "Don't do it again." That's not like my fucking mom talking to me when I'm 5 years old. Don't do it again. Like
you should almost make it a fucking rule because they only call it when they want to. Anyways, fucking if they want to grab the fence, break their fucking fingers off or whatever. Whatever. I mean, that's not my call to make, but it's just picking and choosing when to call it is strange. Whatever. Anyways, guys, we wish you all the luck on these bets. We're gonna come back this week with the bet show. We're gonna smash it this week. We're gonna go big on this one. It's a fantastic card. Me and A-Train are getting together for this card, so we might even do one of those live companion things. We'll post some funny shit of us drinking and fucking swearing at the TV and all our bet slips or something. But either way, for sure, we're staying on track this week. It's a big card. Pay-per-views, we're definitely staying on schedule. Wednesday night, the props will be out. Our bet show will be out. Look for that. Until then, drop us some comments. Let us know your favorite picks or anything you want us to look into. And we'll see you Wednesday with more information. All right, guys, have a good one.